So Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve are going to make a rate decision this week. Chances are they're going to cut, but we want to see sort of what he has to say about the economy, jobs, etc.
Do you believe the Federal Reserve is an independent body? What do you think about the independent?
Oh, it should be, but I think they should listen to smart people like me. I think I have a better instinct than him. If you look, all the economists got it wrong. I got it right along with one other people out of 100. So they should listen to people that are smart. Nothing wrong with that. But they have to make their own choice. But they should listen.
All right. So according to Trump, you should listen to people that are smart. I agree. But then he starts to say, like me, I disagree. So I'll let you guys make the judge of whether or not you think Trump is smart. I will say, though, that some of Trump's minions are definitely smarter than Trump. But whether or not they're trustworthy, well, let's have a look what they have to say. This is a Hassett here.
Well, what's happening is we're having a supply side boom. And when you have a supply side boom with the big capital spending that's coming from President Trump's policies, for that to happen, then you can have GDP growth go really high. But since there's more supply, then you don't see a run up in inflation. And so the Fed is absolutely right, as it looks like markets think they will do, to cut rates right now. But it's because inflation is under control even while the economy is booming. And look at it this way. In the retail sales number that you talked about, Larry, if you look at year over year, which is a great way, smoothing through the ups and downs, and if you look at the control group, which is what goes into the GDP calculation for consumption, it's up 6%. It's up 6% right now. And inflation is, closing in on 2%. So we're looking at way north of 3% growth is what we're seeing in the data. And so all these people, these naysayers that said that we're going to have stagflation, we're going to have a recession because of tariffs, are once again proven wrong by the data.
Really? Like what is this guy talking about? But, I just want to show you, give different points of view. And that's Kevin Hassett. He may or may not be the next Fed chair. His name has been on the list. But it's kind of crazy. He's basically trying to tell you guys, we're just growing like nuts and look at the economy. Wow. And inflation is really under control. And I always tell you guys the same thing, right? I show you different points of view. I just show you the numbers. I tell you what I think. But ultimately, you will know your situation. You will know the job market around you. You'll know the price of homes. You'll know the price of stuff at the store. If I want to get more particular, you'll know the price of the gas at the gas pump and the price of eggs in your neighborhood. You will know, right? So when these people say like Hassett's like, oh yeah, no, inflation's no trouble, we're going down to 2. I'm just like, what are you talking about? The last read was going up. What are you talking about? It's insane. Now, I want to show you another point of view because the CBO, nonpartisan, right? So they're not pushing any particular party. They just literally run the numbers and tell you, because these people just want to know the truth.
The National Budget Office is projecting higher inflation and unemployment this year with slowing economic growth ahead.
All right, so CBO, economy to expand 1.4% in 2025, so not great. Inflation will pick up to 3.1%, 1% higher than the previous estimate. So things get revised. And I promise you it could get revised again, even higher. And then they say unemployment to peak at 4.5% at the end of the year. And no one, it's hard to predict, too far out, but I'll say no one knows how ugly this is going to get. And then whenever you talk about unemployment stuff, I've told you guys this stuff before. It is really hard to find a job out there. I keep seeing the numbers. I see it from anecdotal evidence where people are like, I've been looking for a long time, or I look at the job ads and it's basically fake jobs, and you guys know this stuff. Or even if you do find something, it may not necessarily be what you want to do or in a place you want to go or even pay enough. So the market's really tough. I understand that. And that's why, if you feel like you're being gassed all the time by the Trumpers, yes, it's true. Yes, you are. Listen to the CBO, though. This is the head. It's interesting what he has to say about this stuff.
The bill, the reconciliation bill, is boosting the economy, and immigration is slowing it down, and then the effects of the tariff are both raising inflation and slowing down the economy, both businesses and households facing the drag from the tariffs.
I think about trying to compute all of these.
So that was directly from him. We also have his numbers. It was interesting because she asked him, several questions about projecting into the future. That stuff gets tough because the big question is what happens if the Supreme Court goes against Trump and removes the tariff. So they can't predict that stuff, whether or not that's going to happen. We don't know. I think it could happen by the end of the year, the Supreme Court thing. It looks like they're going to try to hurry it, but it does matter because as he's talking about in the tariffs, right? It's a big effect on inflation, a big effect on growth. Now, to be fair, and this is what he's also said, he's like, well, maybe Trump's bill will help with growth, but that's going to be undone with inflation, right? And then the other thing, which they get to the long conversation, and this is something I just want to point out. Even if Trump's bill can be positive, it only be positive for certain people. Basically, billionaires and the wealthy will be doing great. And then if you're not a billionaire or, you know, making oodles of cash, you're not going to be doing great. And that's just the reality of it. This is another headline. Trump policies to drag on economic growth. CBO predicts offsetting mega bill gains. And the big criticism I have of the Trump people is just, frankly, they're putting policies in place that don't benefit regular people. That's the main thing. And they want to create a TV show kind of environment where it's Squid Game or Hunger Games, where, you know, the people, if you guys watch Squid Game, is effectively, you know, Trump and his kids are in the booth and they're just watching everyone else fight in the arena below. And they're literally going to have a UFC fight at the White House. That's the world that they want. This is also something that it's obvious what's happening. Trump is targeting particular communities. Literally, it just says here, black unemployment is surging in Trump's overhaul of U.S. economy. I mean, it's just efforts to shrink the federal workforce are supercharging a broader slowdown. So, you know, they're targeting specific employees. They're trying to fire many federal workers. Many federal workers end up being black or in particular cities. And as it ultimately ends up being, unemployment, and this is a chart here done by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, black unemployment rises. Gap between black and white rates returned to 2 to 1. So black unemployment is at 7.5%. White unemployment is 3.7%. There's a massive, massive disparity here. And a lot of this is due to Trump's policies. You can just see it happening today. And then what they ends up doing then, and then this is all a distraction from his terrible policies, is like, okay, well, now I'm going to just send the National Guard on predominantly black cities, and black and brown, I should say, right? And, you know, I get it. If you're a Trump or MAGA, he's like, oh yeah, I send the military on those people. Yeah, get those people, right? That's how they think. It's the same way they think about ICE. Oh yeah, they must deserve it, right? Oh yeah, you should arrest them. They must deserve it. And just frankly, it just ends up being racist policies. I just don't know how else to say it. Sometimes I say it more nicer, but when I see this stuff, it's just frankly deeply, deeply frustrating. And on top of that, you talk about the tariff situation. And this was a really, really interesting study that I hadn't heard before. I get the concept, but they give actual numbers. It says, tariffs are eroding economic freedom, the cost of backsliding. Because sometimes the MAGA people say, oh, wow, you know, Trump said tariffs are going to help us get all jobs and stuff like that. And we've seen with the Hyundai situation, this isn't about jobs for Trump, right? If this was really about jobs for MAGAs and for Trump, they'd be like, you know, hey, Hyundai, finish the plant. That's going to create thousands of jobs. But they're just like, nah, we don't need to finish that plant. Let's forget about that, right? And it's, the tariff thing is fascinating because basically they're talking about the freedom in the sense of your life will be worse with Trump tariffs and you'll have less choices. Let me read this. It's actually really interesting. It's from the Fraser Institute. It says, we recently assessed America's economic freedom based on 45 indicators of government policy. So taxes, spending, regulations, all sorts of stuff, right? Our premise was that people are more economically free when they're allowed to make more of their own economic choices without heavy interference from taxes and regulations imposed by the government. These taxes, by definition, include tariffs, right? Tariffs are a tax. So the basic gist of it is like if you have more choice in what you can buy and not buy, because essentially what the government can do, this is the Trumpers, well, it's all illegal and this hopefully the Supreme Court steps in, but let's just say if Trumper gets his way, and I can't predict that, but if he gets his way and just puts tariffs on, everything, then it's sort of like, well, you're not buying coffee because we're going to triple, quadruple the price, right? Or you're not going to buy clothes from this place because we're going to, triple the price. You're not going to buy that company because we're going to, triple the price, right? So the tariffs have a real effect on your freedom because you can't get certain products. And if you want to, get, and I'll give you an example. I like cameras, and I was looking at eBay, and a true story, I like to look at vintage lenses, and they're really cheap, actually. But if you're in USA, they're not that cheap. It's like $100 lens kind of thing. And if the tariffs come in, it's like $80. You're like, what the heck is this? I'm not paying that. And it literally says on listings these days, for any, it's not even just camera stuff. It could be like clothes or any number of things. It'll say if you're in the USA, prepare for tariffs, or we may not even be able to ship to you. It is a real effect on your freedom in terms of like what access to products you can get. Now they give a number here. It says we concluded that Trump's trade war will drop U.S. tariff freedom. Right, U.S. tariff freedom. It's interesting, from 62nd to 161st, right? And trade freedom from 56 to 76. So not that free. These changes drop the U.S. from 5th to 10th in overall economic freedom. And they also talk about freedom in terms of other things, which is, you got to put this all in perspective, right? So it says, a large body of research associates more economic freedom in general and trade freedom in particular with better outcomes like higher income, okay? Like no tariffs, you're gonna be more economically free, get higher income, faster growth, less poverty, and greater life satisfaction. Like all of these things, like this is stuff that I think you would want. Like again, if you get rid of Trump's tariffs and go for more economic freedom, because Trump is basically removing freedoms by having all these tariffs, they're saying here, higher income, faster growth, less poverty, and greater life satisfaction. And I agree, those are things that we all want. I hope so. But maybe for some people, maybe like, you know what, I want more poverty and I don't want life satisfaction. Maybe that's, some people think that, but not me. I'm telling you, I agree with this stuff. But this is what it ends up being, is Trumpers, what does he spend his time doing? He's like, you know what? I really care about TikTok. I got to make sure I get a deal for my buddies to buy TikTok. And that's what he's setting up. He's setting up for his buddies to buy TikTok. There's a fight on who's going to control the algorithm. China says they want to maintain control. I promise you, Trumpers, he wants to make it so that his account will be the #1 TikTok thing on there and get the algorithm working so all the MAGA accounts will be promoted. You never know. You never know Trump, because I'll tell you this, Elon Musk, it's clearly, if you ever go on his platform, clearly the bots and the Musker stuff is more heavily promoted. And this stuff gets actually regulated in various countries, depending on which country that you're in. But in USA, if you don't regulate this stuff, meaning that if let's just say, for example, there's how can I say, no transparency, these kind of things, and you'd be like, why like every time I look at my phone, I get a notification from Trump? Because like this is something that Elon Musk did, whereas if you put Twitter on your phone, you will get actually notifications from Musk, even if you're not subscribed to him. And I know, because I experienced that firsthand, and I deleted that. I was like, forget that. That was kind of weird. So I wouldn't be shocked if Trump tries to do that kind of thing to manipulate the algorithm. I think you guys kind of get this already. And then again, this is they're fighting over who's going to control over said thing. What's going on right now in the USA, and you have to put this stuff in perspective, is they always want to distract you from, let's not talk about jobs, let's not talk about the economy. Let's talk about what we can say on social media regarding Charlie Kirk. And Bondi's now going to go after you. People are actually already losing their jobs over said things. And essentially what it is then people are not talking about Gaza. Like this is the going on right now. The UN Commission finds that Israel committed genocide in Gaza. I find this stuff deeply, frustrating. I'm upset. I also think this stuff gets suppressed by the algorithm also too, just be further frank with you guys. Or maybe Americans don't care about this stuff. I don't know. But I do mention it, and I am concerned. I care about all people. It doesn't matter where you come from, where you live, or what you look like. I don't want people or children to suffer in this way. I just want to make that clear. And then right now, Israel's launching an offensive. They're going to try to take the land. We talked about before, there was a leak out there where Trumper wants to build hotels and stuff like that, and they want to relocate all the people. This is what's going on. And so and it's like, why does this matter? Sometimes Americans are like, why does it matter? Well, think of it this way, guys. Instead of putting all this money, that's what Trump's doing, to say National Guard to go to Memphis, or putting all this money to sending weapons to Israel or whatever, what if you use all that money to like build up schools and education, right? What if you use that money for healthcare, transportation? It's a different way of thinking. And what they do is the MAGA world is it just get you hating all the time. I just hate these other people. I just hate them, right? And and then you literally are like, okay, I hate the Koreans, so therefore I want those jobs to leave. I just hate jobs, right? And this MAGA world that Trump is, and you guys know who Trump is. Even if you like Trump, he's a screamer. He just screams all the time. He screams and divides people. And it's sad to see how easily people fall for this stuff. And so it's all distraction. They want you to hate other people, arrest as many people as you can, use all that money for more private prisons so Trump people can make money off private prisons, off whatever, new they want to build the Golden Dome thing, right? And just in an alternate world, just think about this. Like, what if we use that money again for schools, right? I just use schools as an example, or what if we use this money to help it so that, hey, transportation would be free in your neighborhood? That's actually a real thing. Many countries have this for the elderly, or you could have discounts at national parks, or even just make them free, these kind of stuff. Like you can actually make your life better if you invest in your people and not just like, hey, I'm just going to build more weapons, more police, more military. You'll be surprised how life can be so much better. This is what we're fighting over now, whether or not I can put emojis on a Charlie Kirk post. So seriously, this is the actual headline. School board member used a laughing emoji on Charlie Kirk post. Oh, I guess she gets to keep her job. And that's what we're fighting over, who gets to keep the job. And my biggest frustration with the Kirk thing, and I make this so clear every time I talk about this thing, I do not condone any sort of violence, but I don't pretend that Charlie Kirk was some sort of saint. And that's something that I'll just say this: you can easily go to Wikipedia. It's so simple. Yeah, go look at who Charlie Kirk was. You can see all the stuff he said, and you can make a decision on that. But it doesn't mean we should be violent. But I'm not going to pretend that he was a saint. And I feel like too many people out there on Fox News are fighting over that. But it doesn't matter, though, this Charlie Kirk thing, to be perfectly frank. What matters is, like, why can't we talk about jobs and healthcare and things like that? Like, that's what the fight is right now in all media, right? It's like, oh, Charlie Kirk this, Charlie Kirk that. And you quit talking about the economy and you quit talking about inflation. And that's what they want you to do. And then they want you to fight each other over this stuff. And that's what it is. So I do appreciate your time, everyone. And I'll catch you all in the next video.